Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Why did the cowboy get a dachshund?
No idea.
Because someone told him to get along, little doggy.
That's funny. I like that. First I was like, what's a dachshund? And I was like thinking...
A long little doggy.
A long little doggy. Oh, that's... Dad jokes.
Yes.
Those are good.
Bro.
Yeah.
I gotta give big thanks to you.
Whoa, what did I do?
You provided the meal portion of the first date I've had with my wife in 14 months.
Oh. The gift card?
The gift card.
I don't even remember. Where did we get you that
Longhorn.
to? Okay. It feels like that was a long time ago.
Yeah. So we finally got a babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
We went out yesterday. We saw Aladdin.
How was it?
In theaters. It was really good.
I'm interested in these live action Disney ones.
Yeah.
Just because it's like throwback to my childhood.
Right?
But
so
new.
The songs were totally reminiscent, but subtle changes here and there. There were a couple of extra songs too, which were really good.
Ooh, extras.
How
was Will Smith as the genie?
I was pleased.
Okay.
I was well pleased. Yep. So he didn't try to be all Robin Williams-y, obviously.
Yeah.
But it had sort of a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air feel.
Nice.
Sort of early MIB,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it worked.
Nice.
It worked.
So tell me more about this dinner date. Went to Longhorn.
We went to Longhorn.
Yeah. What'd you get?
We got an appetizer.
Oh, yeah.
I got a filet and some mashed potatoes, and we got the check, and I was like, you know what's gonna happen here, right? This is gonna be one of those deals. Anytime we have a gift card, we always spend $1 under.
Yeah.
And then it's and we don't have cash. And so
so you can't pay a tip.
So you can't leave $1 tip, right? And so we always end up hey, can you charge a penny to my credit card so that I can, and so sure enough, we got the check, and it's $1.83 under what you gave us for the gift card.
Well, that was good on.
And I go, hey, can we see a dessert menu? And he was like, yeah, sure, I'll be right back. And so we found this little, the little jars, some places have.
Uh-huh.
$2.99.
Uh-huh.
So we ordered that.
Popped you right over.
Tip included, $13 for dinner.
Nice.
We paid. Yeah.
Nice.
For a steakhouse. So, yeah, that was super awesome. And then we had a gift card for the movie. And so we bought popcorn and drinks there, of course.
Mm-hmm. Did you go to the Draft House?
We did not. We've been there once.
Yeah.
We went to, I still call it the Ocho because it was Dickinson 8.
Oh.
AMC 11.
Yeah.
It was the only place in town still showing Aladdin.
Oh, really?
I guess it's been out that long.
Well, The Lion King is coming out in 2 days.
There's a ton of stuff coming out.
Really?
I didn't even realize. Yeah.
I don't pay attention to movies.
I don't either.
Unless it's you know what? I'm going to go on a date with my wife, or my kids might want to see something. Let's see what's out
even
there.
out right now. Yeah. It's not this thing's coming out. I've got to get to that.
Because back in the day...
Oh, hey, we have time right now. What's available?
Right. Well, back in the day, when movies were the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would go see a movie, and then it would be not out on video for a year and a half. So you wanted to go see it then.
You had to.
Now it's 28 days after it's in the theater.
Right. Yes, things move quickly. I also got home from work on Friday, and there was a flyer in my door for Suddenlink fiber internet.
Mm.
So I have UVerse right now.
Yeah.
And I have 18 megabytes per second, I think is what I have. It's pretty low.
I was going to say, it's kind of low.
It's pretty low. We used to have 12.
Oh.
And at my first house, the highest we could get was 3.
Yeah, I remember
so
those
18
days.
Is great.
Yeah, 18,
right?
You're cruising.
Yeah.
Well, and your kids aren't of the age where they're streaming
Correct.
stuff. So it's it's you and your wife.
Correct. So I have this flyer in my door for Suddenlink. 2-year price guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
No contract. 400 megabytes a second.
much faster. I don't know if you know that.
Channels 2 through 99 included.
TV is included.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. I'm waiting for this.
Unlimited usage.
That's surprising.
Uh-huh.
Because typically cable companies limit you to like 600 gigs.
So they had 3 tiers. 200 megabytes per second with 350 gigs included. Mm-hmm. Or for an extra $10, 400 megs a second for unlimited.
Okay.
Right?
That's a good deal.
That's a real good deal.
Because 350 is like one of those things, you would probably be getting close to that. Whenever you have kids, you will definitely go over that. Well, you have kids, but whenever you give your kids expensive devices, and they just look at them all day. Right.
And that's for one TV. You can add a second TV for $3.50 a month.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
So these are all the back figures.
Yeah. So $10 extra from whatever this mysterious base layer. Right. You get unlimited, $3 and some change. You get more TVs.
I'm currently paying $74.23 a month.
For just 18?
For just 18.
You are getting robbed.
I know that. So I've been looking around anyway.
Okay.
And then this mystery offer shows up on my door, right? $75 a month.
For TV, high-speed internet that's like
super
3 bajillions times faster. It basically takes you from like the Stone Age or net zero era to like high-speed internet.
Right.
Even though you've got high...
We're going to lose our ever-loving.
Yeah, you're going to be like, I want to download... Oh my God.
I just thought about
it.
It's
already downloaded. That's how it works.
Yeah. So
$75 for 2 years.
For 2 years.
And you get TV.
And I get TV.
Dude, that is a steal.
We haven't had TV ever. My wife and I have been married 10 years, and we've never had any TV package. We've had rabbit ears.
Rabbit ears and streaming
stuff.
Yeah. I haven't had a TV package since at least 2011, I would say. I did the so-called cutting the cord.
You cut the cord?
Before like Netflix was like any good at all.
Yeah.
It was like they were still doing discs at that point.
Right.
And it was like, oh, cool, you got 28,000 shows, but half of them are fish aquariums and fireplaces.
Right, they're just ambiance.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only TV I've ever had is if like my roommate really wanted it, and I'm like, I'm not paying for it.
Yeah.
Just so you know. And they're like, that's fine.
So what did you decide? Did you decide to call up AT&T and say, hey, this is the deal I'm getting, match it or see ya? Or you just say see ya?
I'm just saying see you.
See you later.
Yeah.
Adios. Suddenlink is coming to my door.
Yeah. 400.
That's much faster.
I didn't even know that kind of stuff was available in my area.
Yeah. I bet you since you can get 400, you should probably imagine that.
They had a third tier.
You could probably get 1 gig too.
It was.
Most of the time, whenever you get up above 100, you can get the 1 gig. But really, honestly, you don't need 1 gig.
No.
Unless you're pulling a lot of data down. Like my father-in-law, he does FTPing into his work. So he works from home and he has large files he has to pull down from a central server.
Yeah.
That are sometimes 2-3 gigs.
Yeah.
So he needs that download speed.
Yeah.
Where we're just streaming stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So, dude,
I'm so excited.
I'll be curious to see if you see a speed difference, because it's kind of like I can buy a Corvette for $50,000, right?
Sure.
And it can go super, super fast.
Right.
But or I can buy a Bugatti for $1 million.
Right.
And it can go
even super faster.
Super faster.
Yeah.
Than the Corvette. But am I ever going to see that difference?
No, you're 65 miles an hour on the highway.
So my question for whenever you do this upgrade is, yes, the speed test will come back and look nice.
Right.
But will you see a difference? Like, pay attention.
So
pay attention to your buffering and stuff.
I already do.
Okay. That's where
I'm aware of the lag.
Okay.
So when I open a YouTube video and there's that, 2 or 3 seconds of cycling before it pulls up, or where I really notice it is if I'm in the middle of one and I swipe away to do something else. This is on my phone. Swipe away to do something else, and then from there I go do something else, and then I go, oh yeah, I was watching a thing, and I go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it has to
Rebuffer.
run through to get to the middle of the video. And that is, I mean, we're complaining about bullshit here, right?
Yeah.
But
first world problem.
But it was top tier of the first world.
Yeah.
Like, but
I
it's
have to wait to
but
see
it's
my
noticeable,
YouTube
right?
video.
And our Netflix, when we're not doing anything other than watching Netflix, and I have a mesh link or a mesh network.
Yeah.
And so this is on the second puck. The first one is actually plugged into the router. So this is our second puck that's got the TV.
So whenever you see the buffering, do you go, what the puck?
Yes. Yeah, I've never said that, but
Number
I'm
two.
going to start it.
It's number 2.
It's number 2. But like, we'll just be watching, and all of a sudden it'll be like, 75% ready to go again.
Yeah, that'll go away.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to be. You're going to be like, okay, I can never go back there.
Right.
So.
Right.
That's fun.
So there was the only reason I'm at 18 is because I've been doing that thing where like, okay, your 6-month initiation is up, and now it's this price, and this price is the same as the 6-month initiation price on the next tier.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just do that.
Yeah.
And so that's what got me up to 18.
You're playing this game that
Right.
everybody plays.
Right.
And I don't know why they do it.
Yeah. And so, yeah. 75.
Dude,
so
you're
excited.
going to be flying fast and
Let me
watching
make
TV.
sure, because I took a picture of the flyer. Let me make sure I didn't like leave out any details. And I do know,
Well, I mean,
like,
that
unless
price, I mean,
right.
really, what better deal are you going to get? AT&T would basically have to be like, hey, here's internet. It's a lot faster. You're going to get a gig, and you're going to get TV for $50.
Right.
That's not gonna
They
happen.
can't do that. Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Enough about me.
So you want to hear about me?
Yeah.
Let's see. What about me? You know, it was one of those weekends where I did stuff, but I don't really remember what I did. I know. We sent my daughter off to church camp thingy.
Yeah, you did.
It's the first time my oldest daughter has been away for a solid week. She's like 10 hours away and no cell phones. So this will be a good experience for her.
Yeah.
We got word back that she got to spend some money because we sent her with cash. And the trip down there, they stopped at a convenience store. And she was all super excited. She texted and said, hey, Mom, me and my friend, we spent $20 on drinks at the gas station. I was like, hey, freedom.
Right.
That's her first taste of like freedom. There's no parent there to say, do you really need these drinks? Why don't you just get one? What's the point?
To be so excited about buying drinks at a gas station.
I remember those moments on trips like that. That's fun.
I had a friend that lived between 3 and 5 miles away from me growing up. And you'll know where this is, but the Hardee's in Rogersville. Yeah. I lived about 5 miles from it, and then he lived on the other side of me. And so I would ride my bike to his house, and then we would turn around and ride our bike to Hardee's to get a soda.
Yes.
And ride back home.
Dude, I did that all the time. I did it to the McDonald's.
And that was the coolest thing.
Yeah, because you're like freedom.
Right.
So she's experiencing that, which is awesome. I'm super stoked for her. I miss her to death.
I bet.
But it's a good experience for her. And then I cooked on my green egg. I haven't smoked something in a long time. I cooked a pork loin.
Bacon wrapped from Sam's?
No.
Okay.
Full on. This is like...
I cooked a pork loin this weekend too. That's so funny.
Was yours a tenderloin?
It was a pork tenderloin, but it was bacon wrapped and it was already seasoned and marinated.
Yeah. See, mine was just a pork loin. So it's like a little bit bigger than a pork tenderloin. And I hadn't cooked a pork loin. So from what I gather...
Mine was like 2.5 pounds.
The tenderloin is basically the best cut of the loin. Yeah. I guess. But really, this thing was like, it was huge. I mean, it was like the size of like, I don't know. It was probably 10 to 12 inches long, and it was...
big around.
It was big.
Yeah.
It was like a giant loaf of bread.
Yeah.
And so
That took a minute, didn't it?
I seasoned it up, and I was really surprised because this thing was partially frozen in the middle, so I was super nervous. We tried to thaw it, and it was just so big, it took forever to thaw.
Sure.
So I stuck my thermometer down in there, turned on my little Bluetooth thing. I've got the little, I forget what it's called, but Weber basically bought this company, and so now they've got a Weber app. And it said temperature 32 degrees in the middle of this thing. I'm like, yep.
Yep, frozen.
It's frozen. I was like, I have no idea how this is going to go. So I seasoned her all up. I set my green egg at 300. Put the plate setter, or what's the egg terminology for it?
They like to call it the convector.
Yeah, the convector with the egg in the middle.
But
so I put that on there so there would be indirect heat, and got it. Made sure it was staying at 300 because I thought I normally cook this about 250.
Yeah.
But since it's frozen in the middle,
yeah,
I don't want to be out here for 7 hours.
Right.
And I put 3 potatoes on there since my other daughter's gone, and it only took probably 2 hours.
Nice.
To cook it, and the potatoes came out perfect, and the meat came out perfect,
nice.
And
you put the potatoes on there the whole time?
The whole time.
Wow.
And they came out perfect.
That's awesome.
Like, I cut them. You know how sometimes you cut open a potato and you're like, dang it, it's not fully done.
Yeah.
It's a little, but you're like, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just going to crunch it up and put butter on it.
And it's going to be fine, and I'll have a little extra texture to my potato.
These things were perfect.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. I don't cook much. My wife does 99% of the cooking. I am blessed in that way. But, yeah.
Since we got this green egg, like, I am cooking all the time. And it's, maybe it's still the honeymoon period of my new toy.
Probably. But the good thing is you're going to have this forever, like me. Right.
Yeah. And oh my gosh. So, bacon wrapped stuff is difficult because whether I've only ever had grilling experience before, but like, you're trying to flip stuff or whatever, and you want to get everything crispy, and I always end up with half my bacon's floppy and half of it's burnt.
Yep.
There's never any in between, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I set mine to 300.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up crawling up to 305, 310.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. I was mowing while I was cooking.
Right.
Because you can do that.
2 birds, 1 stone.
Right. And so I started mowing while the grill was firing up. I did my whole front yard. I get to the back. It's 700 degrees. And I was like, oh no. But it was still just in preheating, right? I didn't have the plate setter in there yet or anything, right? Yeah. And so I open it up and I'm like, whew.
Yeah, heat wave.
Yeah. I get the plate setter down in there. I get the rack on. I run in. I get the loin and I put it on there and I put my thermometer in. And I just have the one. I got a $20 Walmart deal, just something, right? And it's been great so far. And yeah, by the time I got everything set up, got the lid closed, took 1 lap around the yard, checked on it, it was like 305.
Nice.
I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah, the egg's pretty cool.
And yeah.
I like the egg. I know we're running long on the intro, but I am interested in someday down the road getting a pellet grill. Those Traegers.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people are talking about them. My brother has one and my dad has one now, and they love them.
So my cousin has one, and I talked to him like after he had used it maybe 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
He'd used it once to smoke, he'd used it once to grill, at least, and then he was grilling the day that I was there. And I was like, hey, how do you like this thing? This was a few years ago. I had never heard of one before this.
Yeah.
Like a pellet grill or Traeger, either one.
Yeah.
And he was like, to smoke, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because you set the temperature and it
just does
it just takes care of all of that. But he said, we grill a lot more than we smoke, and to grill just seems like a waste of fuel. Because he said it just seems like it's constantly shoveling in at the highest rate that it can to keep your temp up. And he said, I don't know how I feel about that. And I never talked to him again after that.
Yeah.
But that,
since he's had it for so long, it'd be interesting for you to ask him.
Yeah, it would be.
Because they seem to be becoming extremely popular. And I think it's because they're super easy, like for smoking.
Yeah.
You set the temperature and it does it.
Yep.
But anyways, what were we going to talk about today besides our weekend?
We are talking about Libra.
Oh, what is Libra?
We'll get into that.
Okay. And I have a few things that I wanted to bring up, but I will bring them up as we go.
All right.
Let's do this.
Welcome back to Lunchtime Tech Talk. I'm Chad.
I'm Mike.
And yeah, today we're talking about Libra. Which is Facebook's, in quotes, Facebook's new cryptocurrency.
Oh, yeah. It scares the crap out of me.
Does it?
Yeah. I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, I don't either. Not as far as I can throw him. And he keeps getting bigger, so I can't throw him very far.
I couldn't throw him
before.
2 feet.
No.
It's not going to happen.
So I have a lot of notes here, and I don't want this to sound like I'm reading, but at points I'm going to be reading. So the whole thing that got me, like, obviously I'd heard about Libra.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard about it. The world's heard about it.
Yeah.
And all I had heard was, hey, Facebook's coming out with their own crypto.
Yay.
And I had also heard that it was going to be linked to the dollar, and so it was supposed to be more stable. And that was where my knowledge of it stopped.
Well, I'm interested.
Then last week, Mark Cuban tweets out, or doesn't tweet out, but has an interview, and that gets tweeted out. And he's criticizing it because he's concerned about the global impact. And so here's a quote. Where there isn't a lot of rule of law or a lot of government stability or currency stability, then it can be dangerous. And he goes on to say, there's going to be some despot in some African country that gets really upset that they can't control their currency anymore, and that's where the real problems start occurring. And so I was like, okay, what's going on there, right? So to give a little backstory, cryptos operate on the basic promise of decentralization and freedom of control from big governments, big banks, and big companies. Libra is going to be a nonprofit association called Libra Association, and it's at least starting as 28 of the largest businesses that you know. So it's MasterCard, it's Visa, PayPal, eBay, Lyft, Uber, Spotify, Facebook, obviously, and others. There's a minimum buy-in. This association has 28 companies to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And
so are these companies putting money into this? Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Minimum investment of $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
And you can invest more, obviously. And then when you invest, you get a token or a number of tokens, investment tokens, equal to how much you've put in versus the total. So percentage based.
Yeah.
So that you can earn
kind of like
dividends.
When you go to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yep.
You put in $1, you get
just like
4
that.
tokens.
So the association is wanting to promote open source Libra blockchain and develop a platform with its own Move programming language, plus sign up businesses to accept Libra for payment and give customers discounts and rewards. Traditional cryptos like Bitcoin weren't engineered properly to be a medium of exchange. Their price is unanchored and it's susceptible to huge and unpredictable price swings, which is why people wanted in Bitcoin to start with. Because, back in the day, you could, mine Bitcoin.
Yeah, you still
You got it for free. Yeah, but it's just a lot harder now.
It's expensive.
It's expensive, too. But also, it's just a roller coaster type thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not tied to anything. Like, when you play the stock market, there's at least a company that your stock is tied to. And in theory, if the company does well, the stock does well. Not always the case. But with Bitcoin and the other cryptos, you buy a thing that doesn't exist really, and you hope it goes up.
Yeah. Wasn't that the appeal of it, though? This could be the one world currency because it's not tied to anything.
That, and you can use it for nefarious activities because it's not.
You can buy all your drugs with it.
Yeah. And so Bitcoin and the others have been hugely speculative, and that makes it tough for merchants to accept them as payment. Because if I accept today that you're giving me, I know that 2 Bitcoin is ridiculous because that's like 20 grand right now.
Yeah.
But tomorrow it could be worth 10 total.
Right.
Instead of 20.
It just goes up and down,
Yeah, and it's just all over the place. So the value of a Libra, which is denoted with 3 tildes stacked on top of each other. So instead of a dollar sign, you have this kind of 3-wave
kind of looks like
stack.
a wave.
Yeah. So it's meant to stay largely stable, so it's a good medium of exchange. Merchants can be confident that they won't be paid a Libra today that's worth a lot less. And so here's how the value works. It's tied to a basket of bank deposits and short-term government securities for a number of historically stable international currencies, including the dollar, pound, euro, Swiss franc, and yen. And the Libra Association maintains this basket and can change the balance composition at any time to offset major price fluctuations in any one currency. So if yen just all of a sudden drops out, they can sell their yen and they can buy more US dollars or whatever and try to keep that value stable.
So it's really dependent upon. So isn't it its own?
It is its
killer?
own blockchain.
But isn't it its own killer? Because ultimately, let's just say that this thing takes off, right?
Yes.
And ultimately, if this becomes the primary currency and everybody's like, I want to use this.
Yeah.
So what happens whenever nobody's using the dollar or the yen or the euro? I mean, I know that you're talking probably 100 years for something major like that to happen.
Well, if it ever gets, let's say in 100 years, it gets to where that is the ultimate currency. At that point, the reason that any currency keeps its value is because you trust that is the value, right? We're no longer backed by gold.
Right.
Like, you just believe that $1 is worth $1.
Right.
And so if it ever gets to that point where it's completely offsetting real, quote, real world currencies,
then it's its own thing. Okay. I get it.
And you have the faith in it.
Its own stability and all that stuff. You don't need these other things to keep it stable.
Right.
Okay.
The only reason that you accept a few pieces of paper for a good is because you believe that it's worth something.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, all of that value stuff, obviously that's not the case with Bitcoin or any of the others. The other thing that I found really fascinating, and you'll be able to probably add more to this than I can. So the Libra blockchain is built to handle 1,000 transactions per second.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin's blockchain is built for 7, and Ethereum's blockchain is built for 15. And so blockchain, just in general terms, is operating constantly verified by members of nodes. And in this case, only the Libra Association controls the nodes. Like I said earlier, each invested a minimum of $10 million for a say in the governments and the ability to operate one of these nodes. And 2/3 of the nodes are required to validate any given transaction. So, if over 1/3 are down, transactions will just automatically halt because you can't reverse anything in blockchain. And so there's a potential for distributed denial of service attacks and that sort of thing. And so one of the big benefits that Libra is touting is that there's next to no fees. So if you wanted to send money to someone overseas, there's like 7% adder. And, you know, banks have all of their requirements for setting up checking accounts and that sort of thing. And if you don't hit requirements, then you have fees and all of this stuff. And so they can't have 0 fees because they are worried about the DDoS attacks and that sort of thing. So there is what they're calling a negligible fee, which I didn't find anywhere, like what the percentage is or what the rate is or whatever. But they said for someone who's using this normally, you won't really notice it. But for someone who tries to, spin off 1 million transactions and power spam or put in a DDoS attack, like, this is you can't do it. It would cost too much money.
Okay. I get that.
And so what they kind of said their stated goal is, and I'm going to try to summarize this, but they kind of wanted it to be a global coin. And so what they said, this is from Facebook: today's money doesn't work for everyone. Those of us living comfortably in developed nations likely don't see the hardships that befall migrant workers or the unbanked abroad, preyed on by greedy payday lenders and high-fee remittance services, targeted by muggers and left out of traditional financial services. The poor get poorer. Libra has the potential to get more money from working parents back to their families and help retain credit, even if they're robbed of their physical possessions. That would do more to accomplish Facebook's mission of making the world feel smaller than all the news feed likes combined. If Facebook succeeds and legions of people cash in money for Libra, it and other founding members of the Libra Association could earn big dividends on the interest. And if suddenly it becomes super quick to buy things through Facebook using Libra, businesses will boost their ad spend there. But if Libra gets hacked or proves unreliable, it could cost lots of people around the world money while souring them on cryptos. So, they have this goal of helping out the poor, and if it really does work, that could really work. Because most people have a smartphone now, even if you are super poor and a migrant worker. And that is just one thing about tech that amazes me, because in undeveloped or underdeveloped countries, it became so much easier to throw up a cell tower than to build the infrastructure to hardwire homes for phones and all that stuff. And so smartphones just became a thing that you had. And we know from recent hate language and different things that Facebook's in the news for, like, people have Facebook where you wouldn't think they do.
Right.
And so, while Facebook isn't the only company attached to this, they are going to have the first wallet. And so you're going to have to go, I say through Facebook, but it's a spin-off company that they've created. Supposedly, you'll have an anonymous user ID, and none of your Facebook public data will be linked with your, they're calling it Calibra for Libra and I don't know, CA. But your Calibra wallet, they'll all be separate, but like I said, the platform's open source, so anybody can create an app to become your wallet. So you're going to have to be diligent about which apps you download that say that, you know, hey, we'll store your Libra for you, and maybe they steal your Libra for you. But
this is interesting, because I had heard that Facebook has more users than all the religions combined.
Yeah,
I've heard followers.
I have heard that as well.
Which is crazy. So I'm really curious about this whole thing, and I want to see what other companies that tout privacy and security think about it. Apple. Yeah. So I imagine in the next year or so, Apple will probably come out with their stance on this, because in the list of companies that you gave me, I don't think Apple was on that list.
No. They're not in the...
It's interesting. I'm assuming that they were approached, but who knows what their take is on it. They might be okay with it. It might not be something of interest to them as long as it's a secured method. Maybe they see it as like, hey, we can do this Libra thing, but we can do it through your Apple Wallet.
Right.
So
the major thing is, though, a cryptocurrency has to run on blockchain. Otherwise, it's not a cryptocurrency. Apple can't do blockchain by itself. Like, you have to have decentralized nodes so that the ledger can constantly be validated off of one another. And if you only have one node, then it's just a bank.
Right. But Apple can supply a wallet for it.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
They can. So you were worried about like all these people doing open source and pick your wallet.
So you're saying
appropriately.
Still Libra, but Apple makes its own wallet.
Just like Apple uses any other type of card, they could figure out a way to
use the Libra.
Use that Libra. Will they do it? I doubt it.
Who knows?
But we'll see.
Yeah.
It's crazy. All these new currencies trying to pop up.
Yeah.
Kind of freaks me out a little.
Yeah.
Just because it's like something new, you know.
I debated whether or not to even put this in the podcast. For what it's worth, Trump tweeted about it, which is shocking, I know. But he's not a fan of Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies, which is not a shocker. But this is the part that he said that I can kind of get behind. So, unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior, including drug trade and other illegal activity. True. Similarly, Facebook Libra's virtual currency will have little standing or dependability. Maybe, maybe not, because it is supposed to be tied to real money. So, I don't know there. Continuing. If Facebook and other companies want to become a bank, they must seek a new banking charter and become subject to all banking regulations, just like other banks, both national and international. I can kind of understand that too, but again, that violates everything that blockchain and cryptos were always supposed to be.
Yep. Haven't governments tried to, in the past, control, like, Bitcoin, and they couldn't find a way to actually do it?
You can't. It both does and doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about it. It's so cryptic that it's hard for anybody, I think, unless if you're like uber intelligent into this stuff and you helped with the creation of, all this blockchain and Bitcoin and all these digital currencies, like how to even understand how this stuff remotely even truly works. Like, I get everything that you were saying, but whenever, like, if somebody came to me and was like, hey, should I do this? I'd be like, oh, I have no idea. I can't give you advice on that.
Right.
Like, you almost have, it almost takes somebody that's like a specialist in that specific currency because it's so complicated.
Yeah. So, Bitcoin a few years back, got up above 10,000.
Yeah, it was like a gold rush back then.
Yeah. And then from there, it sort of just trickled off and declined because, they started coming out with all these other cryptos and, people were trying to look for the next Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it fell down to around 7,000 and was just kind of hanging out there. When Libra got announced, it shot back up to 10.
Bitcoin did?
Bitcoin did.
It's because then it's like, oh, some
right.
people are backing this digital type currency.
Uh-huh.
Look, we've been in this game for a while.
Right. But it's still, that would be like saying, hey, Apple's doing really cool things. I'm going to buy Google stock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you think that Libra is awesome, you don't buy Bitcoin. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. The fact that it is going to be tied to something real and tangible makes a lot of sense to me. They were also talking, and I didn't include this in my notes because it didn't make a ton of sense to me, but if you cash in $1 for however much equivalent Libra that is,
mm-hmm.
your Libra is instantly generated on the spot. And they talk about this like it's real, even though it's all digital.
Mm-hmm.
But it's minted then. And when you turn that back in and cash out for your dollar, it's destroyed. So 100% of all the Libra in the world is constantly in circulation. There's not any just sitting in the bank,
right?
In quotes. And that would seem to be the case for any cryptocurrency to me. But I don't know. I've sat through at least 4 hours of continuing education on blockchain, and not all about cryptos, but how you can use it in business. And so I'm getting to the point where I couldn't do anything on blockchain,
mm-hmm.
but I understand the backbone of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't trust it for anything.
Well,
because this was a few months ago, maybe even a year ago. I don't know. But remember the guy in Canada died who had a cryptocurrency on his server and no one knew the passwords for it. And so all of these people who owned this currency just lost millions of dollars because no one could get into his machine.
That's a bad...
Yeah.
That's a bad plan.
That's a bad plan.
There's no after death plan. Yeah, I mean, I do think that there has to be some form of regulation, and whether it's a government regulation or a private company regulation, and that's what it sounds like Libra, Facebook is trying to do, is have buy-in from all these companies that have a say in how this stuff actually works and monitoring it and approving it and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So there is some form of regulation in that aspect. It's not just, I feel like, I don't know enough about this, but I feel like Bitcoin is like wild, wild west. Like there's no rules or anything. It's just wing it and we're good to go. Now there is a guy that we work with that was mining a digital coin at one point. I think it's like star coins or something.
Yeah.
And I don't think it ever became of anything for him. He was just doing it for fun to see if he could do anything. And so I'm like, from what I understand, all that stuff is pretty crazy to mine. And
so those are the 28, and I already took a screen grab of this. I'm gonna put it out when I put the notes out, but
yeah,
those are the original 28, and they're open to taking on more.
Of companies.
So they've got venture capitalists, they've got 2 of the major credit card players, they've got like Lyft, Uber, eBay, Spotify. Like those are going to be places that want to accept it,
utilize it,
back and forth. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. When's it supposed to actually, did they say when it's supposed to actually be officially
I think it was later this year, first half of 2020.
First half of 2020. Okay. We'll see what happens. So I just had 2 things that I wanted to say real quick. Apparently the Apple Watch saved another man from dying. I'm sure it's saved women too, but this particular instance was a man.
Yeah.
He was out riding his jet ski in some harbor. Yep. In some harbor in Chicago, taking photos.
Uh-huh.
And I guess there was a big enough wave from, I don't know what, a boat or what, but it knocked him off and his phone fell in the water.
Uh-huh.
And he lost it, and he was having trouble getting back up on the jet ski thingy. And so he called for help on his Apple Watch. And 911 came and got him, and he said, if I wouldn't have been able to do that, I couldn't have gotten back up on the jet ski, got it going, and I would have died.
There you go.
So I thought that was cool. You hear about these little things all the time where you have like these little devices that we insert into our lives that can do things other than just melt your mind with data.
So I have a running notes page going in my notes app of just ideas for the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I have on here definitely getting an Apple Watch. And so at some point I was going to talk about that. And right now seems like as good a time as any.
It's probably going to go long if we do that. Because I've got some advice for you on that.
Well then.
The other thing, you guys won't be listening to this until after it's over, but it's Prime Day. Happy Prime Day, Chad.
Happy Prime Day. Hey, guess who got a smart thermostat?
Did you buy it on Prime Day?
I bought it on Prime Day.
Which one did you get?
I got the Nest.
Okay.
And I know you told me to check out the Ecobee.
Told him to get the Ecobee, but
I did look at it. I looked a lot.
Okay.
And there was a price difference that I wasn't super stoked about.
Yeah.
One of the selling points you told me was that it's HomeKit compatible.
Yes.
Which I also don't super care about. And when I was doing some research, however well it works or doesn't work, Nest has the learning ability.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get home in the evening and you turn it down or up, whatever time of year it is, it kind of records that, and you don't have to spend the hour when you first get it kind of setting up all the actual programs.
Right.
The Ecobee?
Mm-hmm.
Ecobee. How were you saying it?
I say Ecobee. Some people call it Ecobee. I don't know.
Either way, you guys can figure out what we're talking about. It didn't have that kind of learning feature, and so it was still going to be a 7-day-a-week type of program basis, which the Nest also has if that's how you want to do it.
Yeah.
And, both were Wi-Fi compatible. They both had what I wanted, but the lower price along with the kind of learning aspect is what knocked me over to the Nest.
There you go.
There you go.
I can't wait to hear what you think of it. So yeah, Prime Day. Go get your Prime stuff, even though it's too late because Prime Day's over by the time we post this.
Because it's Thursday.
Yeah.
Prime Day was 2 days ago.
Yeah. So that's all I've got for topics. Do you want to talk about some crazy tech?
Sure.
Okay.
Without crazy tech. Without crazy tech, oh, I can't live. Without crazy tech.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
That's gonna.
Do you know who it was?
I have no clue. Never heard that song.
That was U2 from their Joshua Tree album. With or Without You.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it was very. I don't know.
I went for it.
Yeah, you did. You go.
you go.
You go,
fella.
you. So I'll go first. I don't have very many specifics on this item, but I saw this and I thought this is insanely weird and odd that a company even made this. Apparently, there is a action figure of Jeff Bezos.
No.
Yep. There's an action figure of Jeff Bezos. Have you ever seen that picture on the internet of him where he's like all jacked and he's wearing a vest?
I have seen that picture.
It's of that.
Okay.
Apparently this toy company, which I didn't see named in the article, decided to make a whole bunch of these and the Boston Dynamics robot dogs. And they sent these things out to random tech news writers.
Okay.
And so there's some people in this world who have a Jeff Bezos action figure.
That's fantastic, actually.
It is very odd. I mean, the dude started a bookstore. And now he's got an action figure of himself.
I know that that's true.
That is 100% true. He started a bookstore.
He wanted to compete with Barnes & Noble. There, we said it.
Instead,
and now
he took
he's the
over
richest
world.
man in the world. And I cannot wrap my head around those two things being true.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how he got there.
I don't-
That's the biggest thing that questions me. Like, how did he get there so fast?
Speaking of how he got there, I saw that the Minnesota, one of the Minnesota Amazon warehouses was planning to strike today for 6 hours.
Yeah. Jeff Bezos will just zap them all with a laser,
Right.
probably.
He probably can zap them with his mind.
Probably.
He probably has that kind of technology.
Yeah, he's definitely not from this earth, considering he started Amazon, back in like the late 90s, as a bookstore, I think. I think it was the late 90s.
That's so crazy.
And then now he controls almost all the servers for even the government through AWS. So that's my crazy tech. Just a weird doll that you can get.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos doll.
You know what is super crazy? Our phones. We were digging through... We're trying to clean up our house a little bit. Because in the last year, we've gotten a little cluttery with the kids. We don't have a ton of time for, the normal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting at the kitchen table last night doing research for today's episode.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife comes in and she's like, look what I found. And she holds up our old Garmin that, you used to stick to your windshield.
Yeah.
And we had nicknamed it Min Min because Garmin.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh my gosh, you found Min Min. And she was like, yeah, what do you want? You don't have a nav in your car. Do you want this? And I go, I have an iPhone. I go, that thing is probably 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
None of the maps on it are
Your
up to
neighborhood's
date.
probably not even on it.
My house for sure isn't. But yeah, my neighborhood might not even be on there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I really don't think we need it. And she was like, well, do you want to try to sell it? Because, some older couple might
want to get lost.
might want it. And I go, I guess, but it has some of our saved information and home, which was our old home.
Right.
But it has some stuff on it. And she goes, okay, well, do you want to delete that stuff? And we'll throw it in a garage sale and just see what happens. And I was like, okay. So I was driving to work this morning, charging my 8-year-old Garmin, and I sat in the parking lot for a minute and deleted all the saved information out of it and stuff, and I'm just...
Poor Min.
Our phones are literally insane.
Yeah, it is crazy what we carry around.
They do, yeah. This is it's my stereo, it's my library, it's my video library. Like, it's just got everything. So my crazy tech for the day is the Apple iPhone.
Yay!
Sometimes you have to appreciate what is already in front of you. That's what I'm doing.
Well, I think that's a good one.
It's fair.
Yeah, it's fair. It is crazy when you stop and think about it.
It is. It's super crazy.
That's all I have for the day.
Yep, me too.
You too? Want to tell them where they can maybe find us?
Yeah. You can find us on the internet at LunchTimeTechTalk.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts at probably Lunchtime Tech Talk. I've never said at there before.
We're good at this.
If you search Lunchtime Tech Talk on the internet, I don't know what you'll find, because it seems like the algorithms are pushing us down. The man is holding us back.
Are you becoming a believer?
Yeah, I am a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I've searched for us and we're hard to find.
They don't want us to exist.
They don't.
It's because we
They don't want us out here.
It's because we talked about squatches.
Yeah, right. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Lunchtime Tech Talk. You can find us on Twitter at Lunchtime Tech T1. We have a Patreon page. You can find that on our website. And we have an email address, lunchtimetechtalk@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
We have phone numbers, but I'm not going to give you those.
Yeah.
Because that's weird.
We have cars.
We have cars. We have houses.
We have a bike. Couple.
You can find me at MSU Mac. That's MSUMACC. Mike, where you at?
You can find me on Twitter at run_bike_Mike. And you can find me on YouTube and Instagram at runbikemike.
You're out here on that _ gang. Was Run Bike Mike taken?
Yes, Run Bike Mike was taken.
Son of a... You probably have more followers than that person.
Yeah, that guy, he posted, I think, like 3 or 4 times and didn't post it all after that. When
we blow up like we thought we would, you can buy it from him. And you can be Run Bike Mike.
It could just be Run Bike Mike. Yeah, don't go to Run Bike Mike. That's not me. It's run_bike_Mike.
Yeah.
Unless you're on Instagram and
then it's
YouTube.
Run Bike Mike.
This world's confusing.
Oh.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for sharing your lunch with us. Bye.
Bye.